Hello and welcome to another massive episode of NBL Overtime. We got it all happening in studio today. Josh King, the new coach of the South East Melbourne Phoenix, is going to stop by shortly. And of course, we've got our usuals, Peter Hooley, Leonard Copeland, Damon Lowry, you jumping in again.
I was in the neighborhood.
Let me say, you're looking good, too.
I wanted to see what was going on. So, yeah.
It's great. Oh, I love having you on the show. You're looking a lot better than your Dallas Cowboys. We don't have to talk about that. Come on.
Straight to it. Let's get stuck straight into it, though. Tommy Greer, the CEO of the South East Melbourne Phoenix, has announced his resignation. Now, we can see a statement. If you've got 40 minutes time, you can read your way through that. But I'll tell you now, it's all the usual stuff you get here. But we do need to say, with Tommy Greer, he's been here since the inception of the South East Melbourne Phoenix as a club. And there is a reason. He is currently the second most tenured CEO in the NBL at the moment. CEO jobs, they are difficult. And to start from the beginning, when a club is born, incredibly difficult. He's done a fantastic job, and it is sad to see him step aside.
Not just to start from when any club's born, but coming in where Melbourne United, who had just rebranded before that, had just won a title, had success in the city of Melbourne, to compete against that and to bring the community together down to the Phoenix. Incredible job by him. And you go back to the COVID year where there was no crowd at Kudos Bank Arena, where if they'd beat Melbourne United, they would have played a Bryceless Perth in a championship series. We could have been talking about them having a championship as well.
Yeah, be careful with that statement, though, because they came at you on Twitter when you said that before. A Bryceless could have been close to a championship.
Hey, they're different this year, the Bryceless Perth, which we're talking about. But no, he's done an absolutely incredible job to build this club up.
And he's a Melbourne guy, too. I mean, I played with Tommy at Melbourne Tigers. Melbourne guy, done a great job, brought in some fantastic imports. They just couldn't get the job done. Now, my question is, was it time for him to go because of their lack of success? Or did he?
Oh, you saying he got pushed out the door?
No, I'm just asking the question. I'm asking.
I think what Felix makes the good point of it's a long time he's been there, and again we see these jobs where there's some rollover and handover. But I think now when they're going in a different direction with Josh King, who's going to join us lately, it seems like it's kind of like the perfect time where he's done all he can to bring the club to where it is now, and now a fresh face comes in and moves it forward when Simon Mitchell has come back. So I think they're in a good position right now as a club going forward, and a lot of that is because of what he did at the very beginning.
Yeah, of course.
And they're going to probably have Tommy still around in the future, but like 6 years, like how many wooden spoons? 2 wooden spoons, had some injuries, the season got derailed through injuries. It's only so much you can do as a GM, but he established it, gave it some credibility, and kind of set it up. I'm sure he would still love to be there if things would have went a certain way, but this is professional sport and that's the way it goes.
Certainly, it's a brutal industry, and the CEO position, you look in business anywhere, they don't usually last that long. 6 years is a long time as a CEO in any industry to keep going. And anyone who thinks that Tommy may have been pushed out the door, I would argue against that and say they were a couple of injuries away, as you say, from being in a final series, done a fantastic job with that team. But it is not lost on me, and I feel a bit mean saying this, but you got the old coach who's advising the new coach. And now you're going to have the old GM who's going to be advising the new GM. So there's a lot of that going on. It's getting a bit incestual within the South East Melbourne Phoenix, and maybe that was the wrong word. You might hear a beep when this one goes to air. But we're going to roll with it anyway here. Let's get stuck right into the Sydney Kings. Leonard Copeland, you told me off air before the show. They're washed.
Stop saying that.
They're done.
I'll tell you what I need to tell you on air. Here's the thing.
0-2 this weekend. A lot of issues are rising for the Sydney Kings right now.
They're struggling. And here's the thing. We win at Tasmania when they struggle. We win at South East Melbourne when they struggle. The Sydney Kings are struggling. And I've been there. I've been in the chair. I've been an assistant coach in Sydney. They expect you to win every single night. And the money that they spend on their players, they have to have it.
They certainly do. And let's have a look at the presser from Brian Goorjian, because according to Goorjian, maybe there's a reason why the Kings are struggling.
There's now we're a third of the way through the season. And our schedule, I've never had one like it. And I said this going, Perth and back. And I looked at Melbourne. They lost to Cairns at home after going to Perth and having a day's break. They're nails. They're proven in this thing. They lost by 25 to Cairns at home. That thing's no joke.
Wow. Now.
Go on, heat up.
No, we all love Goorjian. Goorjian's done a whole lot for the NBL, for basketball in general, all right? Goorjian's wrong on that one, because you can't complain about your schedule when you got teams like New Zealand who fly all over the world. Pete gave us a map last week of New Zealand going all over the place. And you got Perth who fly all over the place. It's hard for them to complain. And plus, here's the thing. Most of his players are 8 years old. They're walking around with dummies in their mouth. How can they get tired?
Well, that's probably the issue. They're 8 years old.
I'm with you. I don't like the travel. There's 3 teams that can ever talk about travel in the NBL in the last few years. It's Tassie, it's Perth, it's New Zealand, based on where they are. And because at Tassie, normally they don't have direct flights everywhere. Because I remember after round 1 last year in Perth, I was catching the red eye back to Melbourne, and Tassie was there. And I asked Scott Roth, what are you doing? And he said, we got to go to Melbourne, then to Hobart, rather than a direct flight in the morning, straight to Hobart. This year, Tassie had the Singapore trip, but this year, what New Zealand have done, no one can talk about travel this year other than New Zealand Breakers, which makes that presser even worse because they just lost to New Zealand.
That's right.
So yes, again, you talk about travel, but any other year, take out the NBA games that New Zealand play, it's still only those teams who can talk about travel because they are so far away from everybody else.
What was y'all talking about? As soon as the word travel come up, I'm out. Yeah. As soon as anything remotely sounds like an excuse, I'm out. I don't give a damn. I don't care what. I don't care if you got to go to the moon, come back and play. Don't want to hear it. We all know the schedule. Don't explain it to us. We follow it. We see where you got to go. We don't care. Yeah. We do not care. That's all I'm saying. If you want to talk about travel, that's got to be on the floor. Like, you only get 2 steps. Don't be, that's the only travel I'm interested in.
Right there.
Well, I'm probably not too placed to talk about this because teams, 1, never took me on road trips, and 2, I never really got to play them. No. So there's a reason I probably don't know.
You had a chance.
And I also love nothing more than a good excuse. So I'm with you on that one, Brian Gorgeon. But the big one here, and Damon, I want to hear your opinion on this because you really hold no punches. Cam Oliver right now, not playing in the fourth quarter. His minutes are all over the place, even though he's one of their most effective bigs when he's on the floor. What on earth is going on?
Cam Oliver can score. Cam Oliver is a professional kind of a scorer, right? He's got the package. He can shoot the 3 ball. He got turnaround jumpers going over both shoulders. But what he doesn't have is the Brian Gorgeon, the discipline. You can't, like, just then, he jogging up and down the court. You miss a shot, you jog back. You can't have that. Now, you look at his numbers right here, 13 and 6 with almost 2 assists in 21 minutes. He could obviously start. He is a better basketball player than Kelly LePepe. He's better, right? Yep. But Kelly LePepe ain't going to be jogging back on defense. Kelly LePepe is going to give you his first, second, third, and fourth efforts. Does Brian Gorgeon have to beg a dude to play defense? Coaches don't have to do this, man. You get paid, you're a professional, just do your job. And then once you don't do your job, you can't now come to the bench and, oh, man, that ain't right. No, it is right. I'm going to put somebody out there who will do what I asked him to do. So Cam knows better than that. So if I was him, I would just have a little one-on-one chat with Gorgeon, like, hey, that's my bad, man. That's my bad. You're 100% right. Let's move forward. That's what I would do.
I think it's, again, because you've got these 12 guys who can all play meaningful minutes on any other team, right? You've got 12, including next star Alex Tui, who, again, didn't play a whole lot in that game on the weekend. You've got guys down the end of the bench who are just desperate for opportunity. Kelly LePepe, if he was coming off the bench, is still giving you the exact same effort you're talking about, Damon. He's fighting for every opportunity. Tyler Robertson, when he got minutes for a little bit there, did everything he could to now earn some more minutes now that Jalen Adams out. Kuwait Noy. Sean Bruce, when he gets on the floor, is doing absolutely everything he can. Jalen Galloway, who we'll talk about, is struggling to get those meaningful minutes. But when he's on the floor, he's doing everything he can. Because they've got so much talent, Brian Gorgeon right now is just looking for guys who want to kind of step up and deliver, and they're not doing it.
But here's the problem. Trying to play 12 guys
Can't do it.
40 minutes, that means somebody's not going to be happy. I'm playing 9 minutes, I'm not happy. I'm playing 12 minutes, I'm not happy. You got to get your 8 guys, let them play so they get into a rhythm, rotation, and then they're so good, they'll beat teams, and these other guys will get some time at the 100%. End of the game. But if you try to play 12 guys in 40 minutes,
and they all the same guys. Like, you look at the perimeter. Isaiah Leafa, 2 guard. Bull Quall, 2 guard. Jalen Galloway, 2.
Tyler Robinson's a 2 guard.
Tyler Robinson could be a small forward, but
Yeah.
see, Brian's done this before in the past. Remember Frank Drimmick? Yep. He tried to make him into a point guard. Tyler Robinson is kind of the similar vein. So you got the perimeter is clogged. That's without Sean Bruce and without Jalen Adams we talking about. You got too many of the same guys.
Yep.
The fourth quarter rotations from Gorgeon have come under some serious scrutiny, and it was more evident against New Zealand because a guy like Isaiah Leafa, who hasn't had the best start to the season, he hit some shots early, but my God, he appears to be the go-to. in the fourth quarter. And it's no discredit to him as a player, but we look at the talent that they've got. Is it sustainable having a guy like Isaiah Leafa in the most talented, stacked roster in the league continuing to be a fourth quarter go-to?
I think what this showed me more is that they're writing each game separately to the whole season, where it's like, okay, Leafa had his best game by far for the Kings in this one.
Best first half.
He was the only one really who was stepping up and knocking down shots. So they said, okay, we're going to play through him. Whereas on any other team, so we have a look at this in his games 1-7. Look at that, 2 of 25. In Perth, where he got a bit more opportunity, he knocked down a couple of shots, then clearly had his best game against his former team. But any other team, if you've got a guy who's been struggling in the rotation to start the season and they have a breakout game, when it comes to the fourth quarter, it doesn't mean you go away. So let's look at the Allure Hawks. It doesn't mean you go away from a Trey Kell or Tyler Harvey because Hyunjong Lee's come in and knocked down shots for once. You still go back to your main guys who do it, but I think that the Sydney Kings haven't figured out where they want to finish at the games with. They haven't finished out where they want to start games with, and all that then transpires to a fourth quarter, and they lose 2 games on the road that they shouldn't be losing.
You see the offense just then? 5 out. The Sydney Kings got 2 guys on the 45, 2 guys in the corner. Whoever gets the ball, come set a ball screen. Well, it's like a one big gigantic shell drill. So Isaiah Leafa comes off. He's not going to turn that shot down. If he don't have it, Kawhi Noy do the same thing on the other side. And then all of a sudden, Xavier Cooks goes, well, I'm just going to wander around and just try to get an offensive rebound. I'm going to blame the offense as well as some of the players and how they're playing in it.
And at the end of the day, no one's trying to tell Gorgon how to coach.
Amen.
No, he's the man. He's done it all. He's been the Boomers coach. He's won multiple championships. But when you're struggling, it's going to be our job to point it out. And we're not the only ones pointing it out. I mean, if you go on Twitter and Facebook and you see all these fans that are not happy, they're not happy because you put a monster roster together and things aren't working. Now, give him his credit. I'm sure he'll turn it around. Like
100%.
he said about Ross. He's good enough, he'll turn it around.
100%. Another coach who's got some issues right now of a different variety is John Rillie, the Perth Wildcats. Of course, Bryce Cotton out of this for a while, and there's some permutations through that as well. But hey, I was saying last time that I prefer John Rillie in a Bryce Cotton-less team. I think it allows him to coach us via X's and O's a little bit more. But I think that they're going to be all right throughout this phase. I think Bryce Cotton's the best player in the league.
Go ahead.
Before you jump into that, Coach, I know what you're going to say. I think they're going to be able to figure it out in the interim until Bryce Cotton comes back. Normally when you lose a star player, especially a 4-time MVP, when everyone else gets their opportunity, what keeps teams ticking over is the 3-ball. They're last in the league at shooting the 3-ball. I think they shot 15% at one point in time on Friday night. Still managed to win, but if they're continuing to shoot that poorly from the field, I think they're the last in the league at field goal percentage as well. That's where I'm worried about them going to the future. But I do like it. It's equal opportunity. Ben Henschel he was having fun out there. Elijah Pepper looked great out there. And Keanu Pinder, well, he answered the call.
We spoke about Keanu, and he's going to work. Now, you spoke about Cotton and really coaching a team without Cotton. The problem is, Cotton's so good, he's proven himself year after year after year, and John hasn't yet. So why would you want for Cotton not to be there? You
don't want, but I just think situationally right now, John Rillie is able to coach this equal opportunity offense, which I think is more suited to him as a coach than having a team with Bryce Cotton, where some coaches it works. Trevor Gleeson, he mastered it. And Bryce Cotton was amazing, and the Wildcats are amazing. I'm just not sure if Rillie has mastered the ability to coach Cotton at the moment.
You still need a star on the team, though. You still need someone to lead that team. If it's not Cotton, it's got to be Pinder, and you still got to go through him. So I just feel like
they can't win a championship without Bryce.
No, I think it'd be very, very tough, but I'm never going to write anything. This is the NBL, man. We've seen crazy stuff happen. I am never, the one thing I've learned with my time being around the NBL is that you can never write off the Perth Wildcats.
Damon, what's your thoughts? Because that fence that Felix is on, I don't want to hear it.
I know.
You break every bone in your body if you fall off that fence.
Goodness gracious.
I also know don't piss off the Wildcats fans. So there's 2 things you do.
Look, last year, semifinal, lost to Tassie. Bryce Cotton, MVP of the league. Yep. So they're a game away from being in the championship series. Now, and they often play too reliant on Bryce a lot of times. Yeah. I feel like this is the first time in a few years that the talent around Bryce is better. Now, you get Bryce into it, you just got to work out the kinks. There's no way you're going to go into a season without him where you wish he wasn't there. That's just preposterous. Like, I'm with you, Pete. There's no way they get anywhere near the championship series without Bryce. I just want to see those guys play like they did when Bryce comes back.
Correct.
Well, tell you what, let's just jump into the next 5 games for the Wildcats as well and see where they're going to be going, because they're going 5-0. I'm locking it in right now. They are 5-0. Bryce Cotton, they're going to offer him a $100,000 deal next year. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Because John Rillie is the man, and I will die on that island, and I hope I don't.
That's a big game, though, against Illawarra. That's a mighty tough game. Illawarra trying to bounce back as well. And then they got the Phoenix. And again, things are starting to roll for them. So, again, I think Can they absolutely hold down the fort with that, Bryce? Yes, the talent's there. The young talent's exceptional, some of the best we have in the league. But do they need Bryce Cotton to make a big run at it? Absolutely.
It's going to be tough against the Phoenix, man. They've got a young upstart coach. He's intense, he's passionate, and he might be sitting just a little bit offset right now listening to every word that we say. But it's time to get into the Cupcake.
Here we go.
Right now, this ain't no Cupcake League. Rest in peace, of course, to Corey Homicide Williams, the heart and soul of this league. We bring you this segment. I'm going to start it off that, yeah, the South East Melbourne Phoenix have been through a lot.
Yep.
And, you know, Tommy's been stressed out of his mind. Mike Kelly, I'm sure, was stressed out of his mind. He's probably still having a bit of trouble sleeping the way they're turning it around right now. But sometimes we forget about the mascots in this game as well. And you look at here, it's a tough game against the Hawks. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh, no.
Come sneak with me again. Now, either he had a massive night the night before and he shouldn't be getting paid, or something else is happening there because he was unhappy, to say the least.
He can't be there. What's he doing there?
Well, what, are you just going to dance up and down all game?
I mean, you've got to be, at least don't let people see you like that.
Well, it depends. In the first few rounds, I'm sure he didn't want to be seen at all. But no,
He might have gone out with you, Felix. Who knows?
Whoa.
if he it was an afternoon game, so he went out with me. He still would have been out.
All right, here we go.
But also, Pete, we come at your hair a little bit as well. And
here we go.
It seems like you haven't mastered the art of the hot mic yet, because you were caught talking with Jordan about this.
Yeah, you can go to Turkey.
Nah, I've given up. My wife's trying to get me to go already.
Yeah.
I was just in Vietnam with the family, and I got sunburned, bro. And I was like, well, that means it's thinning for sure. I was like, why does that hurt?
Dang, that's tough.
First dagger.
Scary.
Firstly,
You get angry.
That is archive stuff. That is archive stuff. I'm going to be having some
Got
comments.
him.
Yeah. I know my hair. I will be shaving it in the near future. I have no
Can we
choice.
share it on the show?
If we get another season,
I'll write it down. It's called
Another season.
finasteride.
Is that what you're on?
Yeah, finasteride.
Okay.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, my turn. Oh, that's an unbelievable. That's way too deep in archives. So we talk about cupcakes. We have to be better from it. But these are some moves that I don't mind. We've seen some great moves in NBL history, and I don't mind these moves. So Montrez, how good is he? He is really enjoying himself. So I don't want to put. This isn't a cupcake. Oh, this part is not. We love this from the former NBA Sixth Man of the Year. He is getting down. What I do think we need to look back on is some moves that we could be better at. Have a look at this from the GOAT. Now, we remember this. Remember the great man now. Dancing, mind you, what did he come, third, Copes, or fourth? He did beat Chris Hemsworth. Have a look at the big fella. How good is this? He was loving it. He did beat Chris Hemsworth. He
brags about it every day.
You know what? Now I think about it, that's not a cupcake either. That's what we want to see. What I don't want to see is this.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
What is going on there? Hot mics, hot cameras. Have a look at him. Loves it down in Tassie. Oh, he's really enjoying himself. That is unbelievable. Okay, another one for the week. We all saw this. If you haven't been on social media, you haven't seen this. Dwayne Wade's statue. Now, we saw this. What an incredible statue it was. What an honour for one of the greats. But
Lawrence Fishburne.
that's what a lot of people saying that. What is going on there? How does that get through? How does that get through?
He approved that, you know that.
Did he?
He did not approve that.
He approved it.
He was looking at that thing like, what just happened?
Okay, well, if he approved that, who approved this of the GOAT? Who approved that for Gazy in the 2K? That's good of you, Copes, in 2K, but that is Andrew Gaze apparently.
I look older there than I
And you're
do
doing
now.
real life. That one's fine.
Man,
I don't know what the Gazy one is, though. I'm not sure who that is.
They lost his hair. Yeah.
Come on, man. Say
Oh,
it.
no,
Yeah.
that's me.
Oh, shit, old man.
All
wakes up.
righty now. I'm sitting at home and just flipping through social media.
that's what you were doing.
And I see this pop up. Oh, man, check it out, the step one. And then another one pops up. This guy's check it out, the step one. Now, I get a phone call.
Oh, hell no.
Guy goes, what about mine? I said, what do you mean? He sends me a photo of his.
Who?
No.
My man right here. Check it out. Hey, look at the look on his face. Look at the look on his face.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I was looking at my future crumbling before my eyes.
The paint's covering the... You were in good nick then, too. The paint's covering it all.
There was paint in crevices that you couldn't show even on the late night version.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, I'm up. All right, the cupcake. So obviously I got like a, my little big man society.
It is little.
Calm down. Jordan Crawford, Kendrick Davis. But then look, I never had a commentator in. Look at Jackie Boy. Jackson asked for something to stand on so he could come close to Coach's shoulder. This is unheard of.
Take that away.
Jackson, embrace your height, man. You are now the one and only official member of the Little Big Man's Commentator Society.
Well, you know Jack doesn't like calling the games from in-venue because he's got to hang off the end of the score bench like that and look over it. He's not even here to defend himself. Anyway, before I get a text from Jack, we're going to cut to a break. Josh King coming up next. Welcome back to NBL Overtime. It gives me no greater pleasure to welcome in our new guest, Josh King, the new head coach of the South East Melbourne Phoenix. Welcome in. You've barely even been here and you even walked to studio. You're trying to see the city, or is that an environmental thing?
Both. No, I'm staying right down the road, so it's a nice day.
Nice.
Might as well get some steps in.
Get out there. I like it.
Yeah.
No, you've been here, a week and a half. You've had a chance to see the team. You're talking off air and you said you like what you see. Are there anything you think you need help with? Is there anything you think you don't like, or because over the years, we're being honest here, they've struggled with defense, and we know you're a defensive coach.
Yeah.
How do you fix that?
Yeah, I think just day by day. You're not going to fix it in 1 day or 2 days of practice, or 2 weeks for that matter. I think getting a little bit better each day. We'll get a first run at it on Friday against Tasmania, which will give us challenges, but hopefully after that game, we can get better in the next game. So just step by step, like anything else.
I spoke to a lot of people once you were announced, and they all said the same thing, that it's defensive beasts are the teams that you like to coach. But what makes a team a defensive beast from an individual rostered player standpoint?
Yeah, a little bit of that is what you recruit to. I mean, in the off season, you got to recruit guys that you think can play defense. Obviously, there's two sides of the ball. There's offense and defense. You got to recruit to this, but it's really just holding guys accountable, and there's a standard every day. If you want to, there's no, to me, really a lot of secret in defensive play. It's a lot of heart and hustle. Anybody can be a solid defender. Obviously, there's guys that play to their strengths, but it's just holding the guys accountable, both individually and as a team. Yeah.
You say, talking to you beforehand, you say you're from North Carolina, the great state of North Kakalaka.
Yeah.
What about your basketball career? You played. Now, I don't want to assume that you was a point guard or a guard, but what position did you play? What was your game like?
I wasn't, I don't want to say I was a shooter, though. I was a small, undersized two-guard.
Like myself.
Exactly. I don't know exactly.
Wait, the small or the shooter?
Shooter, giving
Both. I'm a small.
But Damon.
Oh, yeah. No, I played in high school, and then I played Division I basketball, which is a big deal in the States, but I was never a high-level player, but I could shoot the basketball a little bit.
Same. Yeah, very much can relate. I want to show a couple of clips now of you when you're coaching. Now, you say you're a defensive beast. I get the feeling why some of the guys are playing defense, because, man, you like to get up and about. There's a bit of yelling and a bit of screaming there. If I'm on the court, I'm probably going to box out and I'm going to hustle. Are we going to see a bit of this? We've had some great coaches over the year that have really come in and lit the sideline alight. Are we going to see a bit of that from you this year?
You know, I'm gonna be myself. So if this is who I am, then this is what we're gonna see on the sideline. I can't change who I am, so
don't change it.
Yeah.
We want to see you yelling and screaming, running into the stands and attacking someone.
I'm a fashion man. Are you gonna wear that on?
Yeah,
or are you gonna have this on? Tell us what you're wearing, bro.
I'm gonna wear this.
Go back to the suit. You're looking good.
Listen, to be honest, if I could wear a polo in that game, I'd have been wearing a polo. It's just kind of a dress code thing. Yeah.
Looking good, though.
Oh, man, the black on black was great.
I like that. I do want to ask, because obviously you're coming into a team that you didn't get to recruit. You're inheriting what's there. For next year, in an ideal world, if you get to control a preseason with a team and you're trying to build this identity, how do you do that? What do you do? What would you like to achieve in a preseason with a new team?
Well, are you asking like what kind of players I would like to recruit?
Well, in terms of if there's certain things you do in the preseason, like implementing, whether it's bonding and doing any of that, because there's 9 new faces on this Phoenix team. It is still relatively young right now in the NBL season.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's something actually, you know, I'm an American coach, but I coached in Europe the last 7 years. I did, you know, when I took over at Ludwigsburg, we had 11 new faces. So it's something in Europe, from year to year, you usually getting 8, 9, 10, 11 new guys. So ideally, I want guys that can play on both sides of the ball, both offensively and defensively. Guys that are willing defenders, you know. And then but you also got to have guys that put the ball in the basket too. Like we can talk about defense, and I am a defensive guy, but at the end of the day, you get the win for getting more points than the other team.
Did you see today, you've already seen things from the NBL, you've been watching it, I know you've had run-ins with Jack McVeigh, Sam Wardenberg, but Ariel Hookporty, who you know very well, he had a dunk called off today in the Knicks, which I'm sure you would have seen that, but talk to us a little about those past experiences with NBL players.
Yeah, I mean, if you even if you look at, I was just watching when you guys had New Zealand up. Matt Mooney's played in the BBL, Parker Jackson Cartwright's played in the BBL, even Freddie Gillespie was in the BBL as early as 2 years ago. A lot of players that are now here have played in the German league. It just so happens that every morning the NBL is on my YouTube in Europe, so I'm actually watching to recruit for March and April. And I really enjoy watching the league. That was part of my decision to come over here, was just the familiarity I had with the league. I like the league. I like the style. I like a lot of things about it.
So what you're trying to tell us is Parker Jackson Cartwright, Hookporty are almost locks for South East Melbourne next year.
I mean, listen, I'm wishing the best for Ariel. He's a great kid. I've known him since he was 15. I know when he came to Melbourne United, he had the injury, but he matured. They did a great job with him. He matured a lot. Unfortunately, I could only coach him for 4 games last year. He had a minor injury when he came with us, so they kind of shut him down. But I like a lot of things the league does, especially with this Next Stars program as well.
And Coach, because you didn't get a chance to pick this team, what would you be happy with at the end of the year? We brought you back at the end of the year. What, if you don't win a championship, what else would make you happy?
I think just getting better step by step, day by day. There's a lot of season left. Every team has their struggles. We've had our struggles early in the season, and I think any team in any league around the world, you want to be playing your best basketball more towards the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, and I hope by the end of the year that's what we're doing.
Yep. Now, your assistant coach Sam McKinnon is an icon here in Australia, like an Olympian, NBL MVP, champion. What's been the relationship like, the transition between yourself and Sam?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I met with Sam and Luke on Sunday after the game, just right up the road here. They've been really helpful for me. Both guys have got a lot of time spent in the NBL, and obviously Sam did a great job filling in here, and I'm going to lean on these guys a lot. They have got experience in the league, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to working with both guys. Yeah.
We're excited to see what you can do on the floor, but you've never been to Australia before, so how have you found Melbourne, and what are you excited about being here in another new country?
A lot of things. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to this time zone. That's the one thing.
Struggling?
Yeah, not the hour, not the sleeping pattern, but the time zone is wild. So even in Europe, it's I don't know, night, day. I don't know about this, but
We still have that here. We follow night, day, I believe.
I'm looking forward to it to be in summertime when it's winter time.
Right.
That's what I'm really looking forward to. The city's been awesome. I've got to walk around. The weather's been great, and I'm just looking forward to learning the league a lot better.
On topic of learning the league, of course, you spent a lot of time in Europe. The differences between the NBL game and the European game. We always hear about the difference between the NBA and Europe. We have a look at your European. There's a lot of Bundesliga right there, which is a very, very good league. So as more we see of the Bundesliga, the more it speaks to your credentials right there. But what are the similarities and maybe the differences between the Euro game and the NBL game that you've seen so far?
Well, I said this when I watched the league. I always say I feel like the NBL is a mix between Europe and the NBA. I'll say both the German league and the NBL are both fast-paced, so I think that's one big similarity. I would say probably in Germany a little bit more, and Europe a little bit more defensive-oriented. I would say probably the NBL is a little bit more offensive-oriented. So those would be the two biggest differences, I would say.
What are you most excited about? Like, what's the biggest thing for you, like exciting challenge over the next, let's say, 12 months?
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm a young head coach, and I've never taken over for a team in the middle of the year. So I'm embracing the challenge because there are challenges with this. I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm looking forward to, at the end of the year, kind of evaluating this whole situation and then building a roster for the next season. But it's step by step. And I'm just looking forward to actually practice tomorrow and getting ready for Tasmania on Friday.
Now, just what's your attitude like when it comes to excuses? Like, because there's a lot of travel going on. We got one team in the league that's not even in the country. We got another team that's way over there in the West. So
I've had that
are we
New Zealand trips.
ever going to have Josh King say, hey, travel, we was riding, it took us 12 hours to get. Where do you stand on that?
Damon, one thing, that's called like building the narrative, right? I'm bad at building the narrative.
Yeah.
I'm too candid with that. Over the years, people have said, hey, you got to come up with a story on why you lost. I'm like, we got our butts kicked today. There's no story. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot of excuses for me. I kind of like just call it like I see it.
Love that.
Perfect. Well, mate, we can't wait to see you debut on Friday night. It's going to be huge. The fans are going to be happy. And you know what happens over here? Usually when a team has a new head coach, they play awfully hard in those first couple of games. So we're looking forward to seeing how they go, and we're wishing you all the best of luck for the coming year.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Cutting to a break now. Plenty coming up next. Oh, drama in the Gong. Justin Happy and the fans in general of all teams, none too happy with the actions of Chris Goulding. Now, we'll have a look at the vision right now, guys, because Chris Goulding is a flopper. We will say that. That is on the record. Chris Goulding is a flopper. But this is a knee hyperextension.
Yes, it is. Yes.
That's a tough one.
On this one, he did not flop. He did. And I'm not going to say he's a flopper. He sometimes flops.
I looked like it was a Euro step. He was trying to Euro step and ended up doing like the stanky leg and ended up almost dislocating everything.
What did he do to stanky leg?
Stanky leg?
What?
Come on, man. You're a funny dude. This guy's a funny dude.
I think that was going to get him.
But it was, look, in that one, in that isolation, it was probably unfair on Chris Goulding to say he flopped in this and that was the reasoning for it.
Again, this is all on a play that actually didn't even count. That's the crazy thing that we're talking about here. And again, I think we all sat here and you're going to have your own view on it regardless.
Yep.
But I'm looking at the ankle, I'm looking at the knee. We've all been who's played in similar situations where you kind of get that quick little fear that's thrown through. There's nothing in that I see. But the crazy thing is that play didn't even matter. Like that play didn't eventuate, but everything that transpired after that. And let's not forget, he torched them in that game as well. Absolutely torched them. But again, all of the stuff that we're about to talk about overshadowed what was an incredible game between, hopefully, two teams who meet in the championship series.
Well, the overshadowing came from the mouth of Justin Tatum, and let's have a look at what he had to say post-game.
I don't have to look at it. It was right in front of my face. It was unfortunate we had I don't know if it's a first time or a rookie referee who wants to, make a call like that. But, we're just happy that Chris Goulding didn't hurt himself flopping in front of us. So, I'm glad that, he's injury-free. It's on me. I'm intimidated. I guess my voice too deep. I'm too tall. My skin color's different. Whatever it is, it's me. Because I hear the same coaches say similar to the same things or complain about the same stuff, and their leash is a little bit longer. But, I guess I have to be made an example out of.
Certainly not mincing his words, and there are a few interesting comments in there. Damon, I think you got some strong opinions on this. I'll let you elaborate.
I feel like me and Justin Tatum, we got like three things in common. We both grew up black in America. We're both tall. We both think the Water Hawks are going to win the championship. But here's the thing. No, we both got a race card, was I going to say. We both got a race card. If you live in America, you grew up black in America, you got a race card. Now, when I first came to Australia, in my first 2 years, I've been here 35 years. He's been here 2. And there was times when I felt like, wait a minute, where's my card? But over time, you learn when and when not to use the card. But he definitely, I can understand why he thought that. I don't agree with him saying it because, again, I've been here for 35 years and I get it. And right now, that's just a learning thing for him to go through. But I don't want to see him being vilified for thinking that his skin has something to do with it.
Did you think the way that he worded it, and when I originally heard the press conference, I thought he was saying, it's because I'm black. But when you go back and listen to the press conference, you do see he mentions, loud, aggressive. He was listing differences with him and other head coaches. Did that sort of change your...
He's basically saying he's intimidating.
Yeah, he added that in.
I spoke with him right before the game the other night, and he said, listen, I was emotional, a lot of things going on after the game, and he said it's probably the wrong time to say stuff like that. He said, but I wanted to get it off my chest. I got it off my chest, and now I just want to move on.
This is where I'm going back to the technical foul, which was kind of what set it all off for him. I think we just need to be better understanding of the situation. Letter of the law, yes, everything he was saying to the referee, but the emotions of that moment between two of the best teams in the league, the two best teams in the league going at it, the frustration there, let's just understand that moment. Tell him to calm down a couple of times. If he doesn't listen to that, then maybe technical. But also, the way he blew up in the press conference, as you said, that's 7 minutes after it all happened. the emotions are still high. You're coaching. We've seen coaches are coaching for their job. Everyone has to be at their best. So, of course, we're going to sometimes get reactions that cross the line. Now, as Joe Hillier mentioned, it was dealt with appropriately the way that it had to. But again, when we interview and we talk to coaches who are still completely in the moment, we got to expect that sometimes they do let their frustrations take over, because we're all human and we all have to deal with emotions differently.
No blood, no foul. Let my man say whatever he wants to say. Joe Healy's going to have an update on the ramifications of that one as well. But let's talk Brisbane Bullets, because right now, Liam Santamaria said last week he had sold his tickets, his real estate, his beachfront property on Brisbane Island, and he's starting to look like a very good investor. Because the Brisbane Bullets, they told us Josh Bannon was going to be the man, but the woes have continued. And, you know, my eyesight's pretty good, but Josh Bannon doesn't appear to be the man he was sold to us to be.
Look, Josh is a good basketball player. He's not a first-team All-NBL guy. He's not a second-team All-NBL guy, I don't think. But Josh is still a good player. He can get you 15 to 22 points a game on any given time. But what that team needs is more offensive production out of their imports. I mean, when you go out and get your imports, they are the ones that's expected. They don't have any marquee guys. They're expected, the imports got to come and bring that kind of fire, that 22, be able to just give a guy the ball and just go get me a bucket. They don't have that. Now, they're making their bones on the defensive end. That's keeping them in games. But over the course of the season, without the offensive punch, I can't see him winning too many more games.
Well, let's just have a quick look as well at what Justin Schuller said in the press conference, because he's pretty committed to Josh Bannon.
The thing that we know is we're a really good group when Josh is on the floor, and we felt that we missed him in the first few rounds. There's no hiding it, but the reason that is because he gives us consistency at the defensive end and effort on the glass. He's going to play tough. He's going to compete, and that's why we when I came on board, we made him the target that he was, and we're going to continue to build around him for a long time to come.
I think Josh Bannon can be a really, really key piece for a successful franchise. I make no mistake about that, and we're having a look at his numbers here. He's had a really rough run at injuries, and the timing of it in both pre-seasons in the last 2 years since he left college. But if you talk about championship contenders, right? Is he a Bryce Cotton leading Perth to a championship? Is he a Chris Golding leading it? Is he a Milton Doyle or Jack McVeigh? No, not right now, but he's still young as well. But again, I think they need other pieces, as Damon said, who can put them in over.
But Brisbane think he's at, and that's why they haven't invested in top-tier imports. They don't want their imports to come in here and score all their points. They got Josh Bannon, and that's how they're looking at it. So when Josh doesn't show up, it looks bad on everybody else. But Brisbane Bullets think Josh Bannon is their man.
Certainly a lot to work out for the Brisbane Bullets. But Sam McKinnon, he had some interesting comments in the press conference as well. He's had a good couple of weeks, but he's going to lose that head coaching job very, very soon.
There's a lot of good Australian coaches and New Zealand coaches. And the trend is to get international coaches in, and that's fine. But look in your own backyard sometimes. Like, we've got lots of experience in the NBL and whatnot. And if it's me, if it's someone else, whoever it is, don't discount us. We're well prepared. We have knowledge of the game. Hope we can all coach one day.
I certainly do not disagree with what Sam McKinnon's saying there, and it does create a bit of an awkward session now when he's coming in for an American head coach coming in for him. So I think it's going to be an awkward situation.
I love it.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job, man.
I think that's exactly how he should have approached it too, because he believes and he wants the opportunity to be a head coach. Scott Roth was backing him up, talking on local radio as well, where we do have some fantastic, we spoke of this last week, some fantastic Australian and New Zealand coaches, Paula Henare, Judd Flavel. We talk about all of these that hopefully get the opportunity going forward. But what you said is things now, he's come out and said he wants to be a head coach, and what that means for the future. I hope that there is an opportunity for him here. I don't want to lose him. I think that he's shown that he belongs at a proper job in the NBL.
He's paid his dues. He's done a phenomenal job. He's an icon of the league. And I agree with him 100%. Look right here first. Now, the only problem is when you're the assistant coach, sometimes you get labeled as the assistant coach, and they want to go and get a proven head coach. So the guy never gets a shot. Somebody got to just have the guts, the minerals to go, no, we're going to invest into our local guys, whether that's Sam, like he said. He's saying it doesn't have to be me, but somebody that's in the backyard already. Agree 100%.
Quick one, yes or no? If you're the new head coach coming in and you see that comment from the interim head coach who's still going to be your assistant, do you find that awkward, little bit of an elephant in the room?
No, I don't.
No.
Not at all.
It's a yes from me. Anyway.
Why do we know that?
Because I think it just would. I think it'd be a little bit awkward. The guy said,
I
hey,
think they got a
they shouldn't have looked
relationship.
overseas.
I think the way that Josh King sat there and said that he understands he's coming into a team that he didn't pick, he's inheriting it and understanding about the league, and he's relying on them for this year.
That's right.
100%. What happens next year is completely different. I thought he spoke exceptionally well, and I love that Sam McKinnon did that on the other side.
I think there's going to be drama. Tell you where there's not going to be drama. Montrezl Harrell. Well, there may be as well, but he's playing fantastically at the moment. He may be working himself into the MVP favourite right now, Damon Lowry. We are starting to see the best of Montrez. 36, 16 and 5 blocks.
I had a real estate agent hit me up yesterday saying, can you get a hold of Montrez and tell him I got a place for him in Adelaide if he wants to sell? Yesterday. So look, Trez has been fantastic for the league. I'm so happy he came here. Now, he could have came here with an attitude problem. Like, oh, man, here I am in Australia playing with these dudes. He has given his heart and soul to basketball. He said in his very first interview on court, he goes, I just miss playing. And we can see there, like, his numbers. His numbers are huge. He is an MVP candidate along with PJC, along with Trey Kell if he ever comes back, and Xavier Cooks. But he has been phenomenal for the league.
He's right. He's 100% right. I just hope we don't label the guy too early, though. Like, he has 2 or 3 great games, and we start saying MVP, but then he has a bad game, and we forget about him. You understand?
We don't want to rob.
We tend to do that kind of stuff.
We don't want to rob Edwards of the situation.
That's right.
I don't think
Rob
we will.
Edwards, first 2 or 3 games, MVP, and all of a sudden he misses 2 games, and he's out the door.
What could, firstly, that's different. But I think what could end up hurting him if he continues this is the fact that Kendrick Davis is balling out as well.
Yes,
Adelaide have 3, I think, of the top 5 or 6 scorers in the league. But Kendrick Davis offensively is a beast. Look at him defensively, locking in on Rob Edwards. Normally we think it's Sunday Dech. He's fighting through everything. He was in 4th quarter especially and overtime. He said, I want the assignment of Cairns' absolute microwave. And he got hit in the face, didn't care about it. I'm staying with it. He used his size. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, he turned around and said something in one to a journalist. He's one of the best guard defenders in the league. And I kind of brushed over it like, no, you're an offensive weapon. Look at him not letting him touch the ball. To take this opportunity on when you've got a team that has Sunday Dech speaks to the volume of you as a player. And there's a reason why he will be an MVP candidate as well. Kendrick Davis, on those clips and what I saw against Cairns, is one of the best 2-way players in the league.
I like it, Pete. I like it.
The Adelaide, and Kendrick Davis as well, we don't hear about him as much because of the Montrez situation. DJ's a big talking point. Isaac was a big talking point. But for the Adelaide 36ers, for everything that happened in the off-season, they've now got, I believe, 3 out of the top 5 leading scorers in the league on their team, and they're winning games. So doing a fantastic job. Plenty coming up. Joe Healy with all the news and a whole lot more.
Outside, McCoy from way downtown. They are raining them in. Here's Jackson Cartwright comes up with it. Mooney from way downtown. Catch it.
They swing the ball, and now Bateman, who's had the hot hand in recent weeks from the 3-point line. That's tough.
The Mitsubishi Motors 3's Rob Edwards clinging to the top because a fast-charging Chris Goulding is on his way. Tyler Harvey not too far behind. DJ, Ian Clark and Matthew Hurt as well, loading him up. But Rob Edwards, I reckon Chris Goulding is just going to hunt him down. And it's amazing at 36 years old that Chris Goulding just seems to have found the fountain of youth, and we keep getting him better and better and better. But it's time to welcome in the lady with all the news. Joe Healy, welcome in.
Thank you, Felix. Hello, gents.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, on behalf of everyone. Tatum is the big story here. Now, it was quite a dramatic press conference, but we've heard that there is a resolution.
Yeah, that's right. Basketball Australia have concluded their investigation, which we heard yesterday. So Tatum has been fined $3,000 and asked to apologise for breaching the Basketball Australia Code of Conduct for comments made regarding the officials. The Hawks then did release a statement. They have apologised now. I don't think it was expected. No one's surprised by this. It's a slap on the back of the hand for him. I know that Justin and the club are now very much looking forward to putting this behind them and looking ahead to their game on Friday against Perth.
The $3,000 fine, I can understand. Making him say sorry, the public apology thing for me just has to, I think that can go into the bin. I just think as an adult, like, make him apologise. Fine him, but he still stands by the words that he says.
You got to make a statement. Like, if you can go into a press conference and say what you said, you got to still be man enough to then say sorry if, you know. So, now, I'm cool with the apology. It's not like, you know, you got his hands tied behind his back. I'm cool
They may well be.
I'm cool with the fine, and I'm cool with the apology. Now we can move on.
Yep. I think the other side of it is I just want that whole process to be quicker.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're all talking about. I know it takes
Yeah.
it's not in our hands. I know it's a BA integrity unit. I know it's different, but like he came to Melbourne, coached the game. Like if we can try and speed that up so that we're not here still talking about it, we're talking about what an unbelievable game it was. We can actually reflect on that. Would help everybody.
Why doesn't the NBL take charge of this though? Why does it have to be Basketball Australia?
Well, that's a whole nother kettle of fish that needs to be worked out. BA, out of the NBL's duties. Stay out of that. Deal with your own stuff. Joe, there's some injuries across the league as well.
Yeah, we're sticking with the Hawks. Trey Kell is still 50-50. I'm told that he is improving after suffering with back spasms and then missed their game against the Phoenix over the weekend. Here's a day-by-day decision, although they will take into account the fact that they are travelling across the country to Perth on Friday, so that could factor into that one. Jalen Adams at the Kings, their MVP, he remains out. Brian Goorjian, you guys might have heard him say that they won't be seeing Jalen Adams have an impact on the group for a while, so read into that what you will. There is no official statement, although I have been told that the Kings won't be looking for an injury replacement. They are confident with the group that they currently have. And then finally, Pedro Bradshaw at Cairns. He says he's feeling good. He had an MRI last night when they got back up to the far north. And so now it's just a decision up to his trainers and the doctors at the club as to whether he plays this week. They have a massive game against Brisbane, though, over the weekend. The Cairns Taipans desperately need one of their three starters that are missing, either Pedro, Taron Armstrong or Tanner Groves, guys.
Cairns
and one more before I forget. Got to keep looking at my notes, Felix. Hold up. Sorry. Brisbane, they have nominated their injury replacement for Sam McDaniel. A familiar name. You guys are very familiar with him. Emmett Nah will be joining the Bullets from here on in.
Nice. Well, a smart point guard knows what to do with the ball there, so no surprise. But there's one name that I am praying ends up in a starting five soon. And I think you know who I'm talking about here, Joe. That is the great Taco Fall. Any updates on where he's at?
I feel like we've got a bit of taco fatigue, guys. We know he is in New Zealand. We know he's rehabbing his quad. But there was an article in a New Zealand paper over the weekend where he was talking about the fact that he definitely wants to be in this league. He expected to be playing with the Breakers this season, apart from the injury, but he's now moved his family out here. So just a little bit of an update. It seems that he's here to stay. I guess for you guys, it's an interesting one if you're Freddie Gillespie, for example. He's kind of sat there watching over his shoulder. Is Taco going to be in? Is he out? Am I staying? So I don't know whether it's something that we've seen too much of in the past, but one to watch for sure.
Certainly one to watch. I am here rooting for Taco. I want him out here. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.
Tell you
The
one
Taco
thing,
Fall train rolls on.
I'll tell you one thing, it'll make Freddie Gillespie play harder.
He was terrific.
He played hard already.
He does, but if you sitting Taco sitting there watching, waiting on you to mess up, you're gonna be out there sitting your butt.
We got to give the Breakers credit. The Breakers were unbelievable. Shout out Karim Lopez as well. They were unbelievable.
they were good.
The Breakers have been fantastic, but on that Taco Fall stuff, is this one of those ones where you just never know it could work?
It's the
Like there's a
sloppiest
chance?
thing, man. This is the sloppiest. You talk about you want to wreck your team chemistry. You want to wreck the harmony of the team. Like he's out here with his whose spot is he taking? Say it. Come out and say it. Don't just have a guy casting his massive shadow.
Certainly,
Freddie Gillespie,
big shadow.
Freddie Gillespie was balling. They go in they was terrible at home. They go and beat the Sydney Kings. And this guy's not only here, but here with his family. Like, come on, man. You know, that does not pass the pup test, and you know it.
I don't know how many in the family, but that's potentially.
He bringing the pets and everybody.
Well, personally, don't bring Lamar Patterson into this. He's trying to bring his dog in there.
4 roster positions. Well, that's enough Taco Fall for this week. We'll be back next week with more Taco updates. But now it's time for Trend is Your Friend. Ooh. We've got ourselves a juicy matchup from a betting perspective coming up this week. Sydney taking on Melbourne United. Now, the Sydney Kings, there's a whole range of issues. Substitutions, Jalen Adams, will he ever play again? But the one that stands out to me, and I commentated the game on Sunday, is offensive rebounds. The night before, on the Friday, they gave up, I believe it was almost 27. It has been borderline embarrassing. Now, offensive rebounds, when you give up offensive rebounds, now I am legally not allowed to talk about effort-based stats, but I will. I will break the law right here and do it. All you got to do is box out. And if you're not doing that, it's almost impossible. Well, it's not impossible, it's very hard to get a team to start doing that. You guys have played a lot longer than me at a lot higher competition. Am I right in saying that if you've got a team at this point in the season that chooses not to box out and effort-based stat, it's going to be very hard to get them to do that as the season goes on?
Oh, you got problems. You got major problems if you ain't boxing out. Everybody knows this. You got to finish the possession off, and right now the Kings are not doing it. Now, New Zealand Breakers got a very tall team, but rebounding is effort-based, like you just say. It's all heart, and right now the Kings are not playing with any heart on that end.
And I'll tell you what, it's about to get bad. Pray for them, because they're coming up against Jack White, who is coming off, how many offensive rebounds was it?
I don't know, he had 19 rebounds.
It was a whole 19 as a whole.
He's
Jack
the best rebounder
White
in the league.
is the best rebounder of the league, and he is an absolute dominant beast. And I had a look at the markets before this, and I thought, you know what, I don't think they reflect how well Jack White is rebounding the ball, especially on that end of the floor. You look at that hustle. The Sydney Kings are going to have nightmares.
He actually has a technique about it. Look at the way he kind of like swings around and tries to get around. You talk about MVP candidates. The way that he's going to find his name right up there. He has been unbelievable for Melbourne United, especially rebounding, but he's filling it up offensively as well. One of the best teams in the league, largely thanks to Jack White.
The biggest thing that he's come away from his time in the NBA, when you're playing a bench role like that, you got to find something. How do I get on the court?
Yeah.
I'm not as offensively talented. I got to stay on the court,
Mm.
and he's doing that rebounding. The technique is right there. So Jack White, he could have 1,000 rebounds against the Sydney Kings, or maybe a little bit less than that. But Jack White over rebounds is the bet here. Plenty more coming up next.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Welcome back to Overtime. Let's have a look at the round 7 schedule we've got approaching us now. Last week, Leonard, you said Brisbane, Tasmania was the match of the round.
It was good.
It ended up being all right. But I'm assuming it's not on this page. What? But would you be locking in Cairns-Brisbane as your game of the round?
No.
You got to think about it.
There's a lot of games.
Think about it. What are we looking at?
Well, I'm excited to see the Phoenix under Josh King. His first taste was going to be in Launceston against Tassie. But again, it's going to be hard to look back. It was on the first page. That Melbourne and Sydney game on Thursday, that's going to be huge. And then Melbourne and New Zealand on Cup Eve. So there's some big games, but how does Sydney respond is going to be the key.
Right. Certainly. I think Sydney responding and South East Melbourne first game. Damon, yours?
Under pressure?
Under pressure. We could jump straight to it. Roll the sting. Damon's running the ship. I hate to tell you what I'm cooking up there, Damon.
We know.
Let's
South
kick it off.
East Melbourne Phoenix staff, the players, not Josh King, the players, the playing roster. They're under pressure because we just saw them for 3 games give Sam McKinnon their heart. You better give it to Josh.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Brisbane Bullets to me, they're taking a wounded Cairns Taipans in the Sunshine Stoush. Say that time 3 times real fast, can't do it. Big game, they have to win this.
Kick them while they're down.
And the Sydney Kings, they've lost their last 2. Melbourne have won their last 2. Sydney got to get their rotations right.
Bro,
get the rotations right.
You got it out for
Come
Brian
on, bro.
Gorgeon.
I'm going to Sydney too this weekend.
Oh, you are going to get it. You are not going to be welcome. Damon, thank you as always. Leonard, fantastic as always. Pete, thank you very much. That's NBL Overtime. Round 7 coming up.